Okay, then that's
Okay, well,
we got to get
we'll
started.
chat later.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Thanks,
Just
Dan.
filling in the time.
So Bert, why don't you pick out some names? I don't see Jeannie on the call.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. I'll go ahead and pick well, before we get started, this is the Broadband Hui 149. And of course, mahalo to Riley and Shola for organizing the the schedule of the Broadband Hui. And if you're not familiar with the Broadband Hui, we call out some of the new folks that join us and have them do a quick introduction. And I guess I'll start with Lisa Rance.
Hi, Bert. I'm with Hilo Medical Center Foundation. I'm the executive director and also president for Hawaii State Rural Health Association. So.
All right. Okay. Great. Are you on our mailing list, distribution?
Yeah, I've been on the distribution list, but I have a standing conflict with the time of the meeting. And so that meeting actually got moved today, so I was able to hop on the call.
Oh,
we do a lot of work with Christina Higa and the Pacific Basin Telehealth Resource Center, and we do mental health telehealth services. We've got a program for that. So we work in this space quite a lot.
All right. Right on. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
How about Christine Park?
Aloha, everyone. I'm Christine Park. I'm one of the program coordinators with the Waipahu Community School for Adults. And I got connected to this meeting through Ka'ala Souza, who asked me to come and share a little bit more. I think myself and Gordon Lum, who's also, he's our administrator for our Waipahu campus, are on the call today to share a little bit more about the digital learning opportunities we have.
All right, great. Well, that's a good chance to have Gordon introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gordon Lum. I'm the Vice Principal at Waipahu Community School for Adults at the Waipahu campus.
Oh, thanks, Gordon. I should introduce myself, too, for some of the new folks. My name is Bert Lum. I'm the State Broadband Coordinator and helping Riley co-convene the Broadband Hui. Hey, I see another co-convener here. There's Chris Sakuda. Hey, Chris.
Good morning, Bert. Aloha, everyone. It's been a while.
You can do a quick intro.
What? Okay. Well, it's nice to see familiar faces or familiar names. Christine Sakuda with Transform Hawaii Government, and we've been supporting Bert, I don't know, since 2020, I think, when we first started the Broadband Hui, and really my organization is focused on supporting tech transformation in government. So broadband is definitely a critical infrastructure that's needed so that the public can get the government services that they need. So happy to support Bert and the Broadband Hui and all the wonderful broadband work that everyone is doing. Mahalo.
Thanks, Chris. I see a couple others that I want to call. How about Joy Ibarra? You might have been on before, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
I need to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Ibarra. I'm from Hawaiian Telcom. I'm the Senior Community Relations Manager here, and I was invited by Janine Suki, who's already on the Hui. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Joy. Okay. Riley, do you want to call on anybody to introduce themselves? Riley, you there?
Sorry, I forgot I was on mute. No, I don't see anyone. I think we're good.
Okay. Okay, why don't you proceed with our esteemed wisdom of the day guest?
Well, that's where I don't think the wisdom of the day guest is on.
No, I think I see a name here.
Yeah.
Well,
Gwen, are you on the call?
I'll give the honors to Gwen Jacobs then.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Aloha, everyone.
There she is.
Shall I do our update too, as long as our wisdom of the day, or shall I just impart some wisdom of the day? Because we have an update from the UH team.
Well, we can, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't have a quote to share, but I do have just some thoughts about this project, having been on the Broadband Hui now for many months and enjoying everything that I've learned. I think, my takeaway from this project is this is one of the most important projects I've ever had the pleasure of working on, and certainly one that is incredibly important to the state of Hawaii, and just been so honored to be able to be part of this group and to learn so much from all of you and all of our nonprofit friends that are out there doing such great things in the community. I think, looking forward, and this is just from my perspective, but I think the rest of the UH team shares this sentiment. I mean, our goal is to put together the best possible plan that we can with the information we have, engage as many communities as we can in our effort, and work as a team with Riley's group, with Bert, with the folks at DBED and others to do a real kind of full court press on this really important effort. I have some good news to report. We are getting very close to adding 3 more members to our team, so that will bring some expertise in communications for getting the word out. Also, we've interviewed 2 really excellent candidates for our data specialists, so we're excited to have our data specialists on board to join the great work that Shola and Amber and Riley and everybody have been working on. And then also our outreach coordinator. So we're going to bulk up our team now. Hopefully we'll have these folks on board certainly this month as soon as possible. So we're excited about adding them. And just on behalf, Garrett's traveling, but he should be back today. I have to say that really, he is my boss, but I'm just impressed with his leadership in this whole effort and how he's working so closely with folks in the government and kind of keeping everybody on the same page. It's a real complicated project, but it's, as I said before, it's an honor to be part of it. So thank you for letting me share those thoughts.
Thanks, Gwen. So with that, I don't see, is Laura on? I guess Laura's on the agenda.
Hi, it's Susan. Laura's not here today, so.
Oh, okay.
You got to do a training
I know you got
session.
her doing, 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. Hawaii time training sessions.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah, I don't envy those early morning wake up calls. But Susan, so for the benefit of some of the new folks on the call, can you do a quick intro? We love to have you. We love when you join us.
Sure. So I'm Susan Walters. I'm the regional director for West States. There are 8 of them, including Hawaii, that I am supporting. Laura Arcibal is the state lead for NTIA. We are responsible for managing BEAD and DE. And Ethan is here and he's representing America Samoa. And we are working with, all the folks, the DBED, BERT, the university, to try and get you the best internet for everybody that we can. And so right now there are a number of things that are going on. Just real quickly, the major effort is around stakeholder engagement, and all to support both the development of a 5-year plan and a state digital equity plan. Those have to be delivered later this year, both of those. And the 5-year plan isn't literally the plan for where the network goes. The 5-year plan is really documenting what the issues are and in some ways what the opportunities are, what the assets are, where, what the state has as its goals, where it sees its biggest needs are. And that's true for both the 5-year plan and the digital equity plan. And the digital equity plan needs to be part of the 5-year plan. And so that's what's the activity that's going on right now. There's one other, and there's a lot involved in that. If anybody has questions, I'd be glad to take questions. The other important piece of information that is available to people right now at the website for this whole initiative, the internetforall.gov, is an opportunity to give input to NTIA about 2 upcoming grant programs. And so you may be familiar with what we call the NOFOs, the Notice of Funding Opportunity. And that's what the government issues from any agency when there's an opportunity to apply for funds. So what we have put out is a request for comment on what people think these next 2 NOFOs should look like. One is for capacity building around digital equity in states. The second one is a competitive grant program for digital equity that NTIA will run. So most of the broadband money is run by the states, but there will be one program that people apply to NTIA for. So again, those are 2 opportunities to provide comments, which would be things that you think are a priority to fund in both those grant opportunities. And it's at the internetforall.gov site. And Bert, I think, had it on Riley had it on last week's agenda. Maybe we can get the link and stick it in chat, but that would be a quick update.
Thanks, Susan. And, that's a great kind of segue into the meeting that we had with Garrett and the counties. And I think you summarized it quite nicely. And I don't know, I wanted to give Riley a chance to kind of give us a quick update on the meeting that we had with Garrett. And we had Hawaii County, as well as Maui County, Kauai County, and City County of Honolulu. Riley, you want to give us a quick update on that?
No, I'm gonna throw it to Shola.
Okay.
Hey, Riley, is it okay if I just jump in quick while we have Susan still with us here?
Okay.
I did just want to kind of go back. I know I did see the link in the agenda for the to give comment on the upcoming grant programs. And I just wanted to kind of highlight that for everyone on the call. That comment period actually ends on May 1st. So we only have just over a month left to do that. So I just want to encourage everyone to click on the link in the agenda, and then there's another link in there that says to go to this comment page. Maybe some or many folks on the Hui want to get together and write up some comments, but I just want people to think about how a grant program in Hawaii could be the most successful using these federal funds, because that's the kind of feedback they're looking for. And this is a great opportunity for us to think about ways to get those funds into local organizations in the best way possible. So to definitely take a look at that. We have just about 5 weeks left to comment on that.
Thanks, Amber. Shola, you want to give us an update on meeting with Garrett?
Yeah, so last week, Thursday, we were able to have all of the 4 counties meet with the state broadband office that is formulating the BEAD program. And for us, it was a good way for us to all kind of come together and talk about ways that the counties can kind of operate in sync in order for us to collect like the best possible data for the BEAD program. we also was able to come up with some like county strategies. And one of the things that we thought would be really helpful was to just kind of like bring more people together to the table to just kind of, I guess, organize like the state's priorities and other ways that we can work together to have like a robust set of data sets. What else do we have?
So Shola, I posted the meeting notes that we have in the chat. So
yeah, and a lot of the other things we did was just kind of share in person with the other counties, the type of resources that we have for them, and the strategies that we came up with to pretty much like get Hawaii County to its current state right now, which was another great asset for everybody.
Great. Thanks, Shola. You know, a couple of the big takeaways that I gleaned from the meeting, and Susan reiterated this, that the 5-year strat plan is kind of a document that articulates what Hawaii's goals are, and it's a high level document that I think will then lead to project plans that ultimately get into more detail subsequent, to the issuance of the strat plan on where these underserved areas are. And that's why it was great to get the counties directly involved in that process. And Riley and Shola, they didn't mention it, but their boss Doug was very keen on the fact that Garrett said that there might even be money available to support the counties in that outreach effort. So I saw some, affirmative nods when Garrett said that. So I think that's that was a good thing. And then I know Pono wasn't able to make it, but Pono, did you have any questions about what took place at that meeting? I know you're going to debrief with your folks like Lakshmi and others. Pono, are you there?
You're on mute.
Well, maybe Pono is trying to find his mute button. Okay, well, if Pono
so
jumps on.
the other thing with the what I posted, the meeting notes at the bottom is actually the next steps. And so we're gonna circle back by Zoom on April 20th.
Yeah, right on. Okay. So there's a like I said, there's a great convening of the minds with the involvement of the counties, and I think that's going to provide some great direction into getting into the local. Sometimes I call it hyper local communities, and every time I say hyper local, right, Amber, people look at me like, "What are you talking about? I don't understand. You lost me right there." How many times has that happened? Probably like half a dozen times. Anyway. So Riley, you should use the word hyperlocal. Then you start getting people thinking that, wow, you got a PhD in some digital equity work or what?
Yeah, I'd say it's just a development of it's just a natural evolution for community development, Bert. It speaks to all of our communities being very different and special and unique. Right,
that's right. And we're getting down to the very localized community issues, and sometimes people refer to it as hyper local. All right, okay, so I got a little bit of things on the agenda I wanted to cover relatively quickly, and I just wanted to let people know I've got to head over to the Capitol probably around 10 to 10, so I'll be jumping off, but Riley and team will continue on for the rest of the Broadband Hui. But so we did kind of talk about the first bullet item, which is the digital, the BEAD and DEA meeting with the counties. The second thing I wanted to give David a chance to talk a little bit about the ACP pop-up that's coming up. And I've been following some of the threads, and David, you can give us a little background, but this one is the one with the folks over in Nanakuli, with association with the with DHHL, right? And it sounded like a pretty big undertaking, and then all of a sudden it evolved into having to provide your own tent and table and chairs and, you know, the whole 9 yards. So David, describe what's involved, and is it a bit of a, you know, a challenge to do that, or what, you know, I thought maybe you would be able to team up with somebody, but what's the scoops on the upcoming ACP pop-up?
Yeah, so first, Kalamai, if there's any background noise, there's some construction going on. So working through that right now. But the ACP pop-up that's happening this Saturday, the 25th, is a part of the Prince Kukio celebration. And just to clarify, there are two celebrations going on. So one is a parade in Kapolei, and then the one that we're helping out with is the one in Nanakuli Village Center. So the expected turnout for the event is supposed to be like well over 1,000 members of the Waianae Nanakuli community. And we could really use everyone's help, or anyone who's willing and able to enroll people into the ACP program. So really want to make sure we can show up for our community there, especially when we talk about things like hyperlocal, really getting into community. So there are a few things that would really be a huge lift if there's anyone that we're able to help out with. So the big one is assistance with transporting equipment to and from the event. Some of our ACP support staff have been really helpful in being able to provide some of the things like tables, chairs, and other equipment, but you know, helping us transport that to and from the event would be really, really helpful. Another thing would be if anyone has access to a tent, preferably a 10 by 10 tent, and could help bring that to the event, that would be super helpful. And one that's more of like a want but not a need would be a generator for the duration of the event, just to make sure that our devices are charged and able to, you know, help enroll the community. Also looking for additional volunteers if anyone's interested. We could always use more digital navigators or people helping out with outreach. So if anyone's interested in that, I'm going to drop down a little contact form as well as my email and phone number in case anyone's interested. Again, just like brief details for the event. It's the Prince Kukio celebration happening at Nanakuli Village Center from 4 to 9. And then we're going to be setting up at 3, and then we should be all done in POW by 9:30, I think. So yeah. Oh yeah.
David, is this taking place on Monday? This is on Monday, right?
Saturday. This Saturday, the 25th.
Oh, okay, Saturday. Okay, Saturday. And is your partner in crime Dan Smith
so
still
Dan
be in
is
Hawaii,
actually
or
gonna be in the Marshall Islands? I think this weekend. So Dan has actually been able to help out in other ways too. He has graciously agreed to allow us to drop off the supplies and equipment at his house after the event, so that we can pick them up and hand them off for the next event that's actually happening April 1st.
Okay, so besides yourself, David, are you is anybody else part of your little logistic team?
Yeah,
I guess without Dan, you know, it's a big responsibility you got on your shoulders.
Yeah, a huge shout out to Lynn and her team. They have agreed to help out with some of the tables and chairs and equipment there. And they're also helping as staff for a majority of the event. And I think it's also a great way for them to kind of get some hands-on experience before that event that they're hosting on April 1st. I think that's going to be the Hapakoleo Ahana Health Fair.
Okay, and that's Lynn Otuguro.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Oh, and then also shout out to Nicole Flowers, who graciously volunteered for the event.
Okay. good. I feel a little more at ease. I thought you were carrying this heavy weight on your shoulders. Dan, I see your hand up.
Do you want to take Janine first?
Yeah,
Or,
sure.
Yeah,
Janine?
then I'll
Hi, David, Bert, everyone. A few of us, Hawaiian Telecom, participated in a recent Molokai resource fair on Saturday. There was no ACP sign up that I could tell. However, there is interest, as you can imagine, for ACP. So if this is okay, I can share with Dan and David the list of folks that noted that they're interested in signing up for ACP, and maybe that handoff can, you can help them with how to get actually signed up. But we do provide information on how to do that online. Some people may need follow-up call to actually get signed up. So if that's okay, I'd be happy to make that. And then as a plug for next year, see, this was the second annual Molokai Resource Fair. It is well attended. There's roughly 1,000 people that show up, and there's a lot of information that's shared. And I know that Spectrum did have a booth there as well.
Well, thanks, Janine. Yeah, feel free to share that out, in terms of folks that express interest, and I think we can probably do some follow-up. And I know there's probably a need to coordinate, and we're slowly getting there. But Dan.
Okay, well, Janine, you should feel free to just sign people up, right? You can, and important for the carriers to just say, hey, we got a deal for you.
We do, but we there are some limitations that we have, and I can talk to you offline about that.
All right, okay, I know you do. So, but I my two main comments now, well, several. First of all, new target for ACP signups, 250,000. There's 280,000 households on Medicaid in Hawaii. All right, so every one of those households is eligible for the ACP. So,
wow.
we have a very lofty goal here now. Another thing is that, any of these organizations that are going to get this ACP outreach grant money should feel free to support David and show up. For example, Elipayo going to getting what, 350,000 for the Waianae Coast. I don't know what the protocol is, but I would think that they may know, we can learn from them. So I think we should invite them to help us out at Nanakuli. So that's
well, Dan,
what I wanted to say.
That's a great introduction for Christy to maybe share a little bit about the ACP grant that they got, and I think she's the point for Elipayo Support Services, and I did a last minute invite for Christy to join us and give us an update. So Christy, what's the plan for Elipayo Support and the ACP outreach?
Well, aloha Dan, aloha David. Nice to meet you in person. We have been communicating by email, Dan. So unfortunately, the way it worked out is we've already Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center and our Elipayo services, and I'll talk about that subsidiary of Waianae Comprehensive in just a second. We've already committed ourselves to the Prince Kuhio Parade and Ho'olaule and Kapolei that David had mentioned. And so our patient assistance services who have already been providing quite a few ACP outreach programs for Chief when it was EBP. And so they will be having a booth there besides our usual first aid booth at the Ho'olaulea. They'll also have their patient assistance services who not only do the ACP outreach awareness and signups, but with MedQuest redetermination starting on April 1st, that's going to affect many folks in our community. And so that is another emphasis that we'll be providing. And it happens on the same day as Nanakuli. So what we have been communicating with David. And so I did send over the flyer for our PAS, and they have been so great in being able to field questions and help folks either over the phone, or we have kiosk. I don't know if anyone is familiar, but we do have a telehealth PAS kiosk in Eva in our Child and Family Services, well, not ours, in Child and Family Services building there. We also have one, if anyone's familiar with Samura's in Waianae, we do have a telehealth /PAS kiosk there that does offer the same services. And so our PAS team, they coordinate whatever works for anyone in our community. So it's not just for Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health patients. They've been providing support in ACP and signing folks up, getting the documents in, whatever is necessary to get people signed up. And they also even contacted carriers, whether it's Spectrum or Hawaiian Telcom, because sometimes we're still finding that the folks that answer the phones there don't know about ACP or don't know what is available. So having said that, I'll just talk about Elapaus Social Services is a subsidiary of Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center. It is newly formed. It was formed in November of 2020. And it was created to provide our communities a way to coordinate culturally proficient social services in a manner that promotes communities in self-direction and self-sufficiency, and really an emphasis on food insecurity, housing insecurity, and community economic development. And so it is brand new, but part of that obviously will be our ACP outreach. When we all know that access to the internet contributes or allows people to contribute or be a participant in society. I mean, everything at ACP, even to enroll, you have to be able to get online. And so if you don't have access, or in our case, we have quite a few folks in our Kupuna population that have access, but don't have the digital know-how to get on. And so part of what we've been providing as well has been Kupuna digital literacy classes. We're very excited. Elapaus is very excited to have been awarded $350,000 to not only continue our ACP outreach program, but obviously now we'll be able to get have more resources. We'll be able to partner with folks like David and those who are already providing or these ACP pop-ups. And so we're looking forward to really expanding and getting to our goal, Dan, $250,000. I think we can do that. You know, we have a lot of partners. We have school-based health clinics in all of our most of our schools here on the west side, so at Nanakuli High School, Nanakuli Intermediate, Waianae High, Inter, and then we will also be expanding to Kapolei. I'm sorry, not Kapolei, Kamaili Academy. We will have a school-based health center there. So our community partners and our strategic partners, I think, will really go a long way now with funding, and that's what we've been looking for. And so, as part of our digital literacy courses that we are going to continue to have this year for Kupuna, and then also expand not only to our community, but actually, believe it or not, to our employees here. 50% of Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health employees are members of our community. And so being able to expand their digital literacy knowledge, and also whether or not they're eligible for ACP, we can make sure that they're signed up as well. Feel free if there are any questions, chat them or have at it.
Well, Chrissy, I definitely will be keeping in touch because I'm sure there's going to be lessons that we can learn as we both roll out our respective ACP outreach programs. So
Oh, most
uh,
definitely.
I,
There's always strength
yeah,
in numbers. I did before. I should. Our interim director of Alapao Services is Alicia Higa. Many may know her through all of her taking the lead on the West Coast for our food distribution efforts, especially as they've increased during the COVID pandemic and even post. And then Lena Alakanana is our Chief Community Health Services Officer. And so she applied for the grant, and so we'll all be working together. You'll hear their names as we start to plan and roll this out. So aloha, mahalo everyone for your time. I appreciate it.
thanks, Chrissy. And I take it that you're probably in the same boat as we are. We haven't really heard anything directly from the FCC outside of their public notice.
Correct.
So yeah, so I'm still kind of waiting to hear when they get back to us on the actual logistics of how they want to technically administer, the grant award, and what are the steps that we need to take, once that happens. So I'll keep people posted on that, because I've got the participants that responded to our RFI, and I want to make sure that they are notified of what the next steps are. So if you don't hear anything from me for at least the immediate this week, it's because, like I said, we haven't heard anything from the FCC. Okay, thanks, Chrissy. And
Sure thing.
I
Hubert,
wanted
just
to,
real quick, for those that I think there are 6
Yep.
participants that you mentioned. Who are you able to say who those are?
Sure, yeah. So UH, we have Kupuna Collective, Olelo, Waimanalo Health, Nurture Cultivate, and Olelo. So those are the 6. And I'm happy to provide any other details. We're probably going to have to hui up and figure out what's the best path forward to leverage the funding, given that it's a little less than what we had originally asked for. And then and Chrissy, what we want to also try to do is be consistent across the participants in terms of what it is that we're delivering, in terms of the FCC's NOFO about events, signups. They have some measurable outcomes that they're looking for. So we wanted to kind of make sure that we're on board with that. And then there are other services that could benefit what you guys are doing, because Olelo is going to help with some videos, and I think Kupuna Collective might have some support for like a call center type of support. So there may be some sharing that we could do, across the projects.
Excellent.
And there's
Yeah,
also
they're already
translation service.
partners on that. So good. So our Auntie Nalani, who is on our Kupuna Council, actually has I think the Kupuna Collective has a meeting today. So she's part of that, and she's part of my Envisioning Virtual Care team. So there's lots of alignment and link there. And then I think Georgette Stevens is on the call here too. So we're all part of
Right.
a digital Hui, and she's part of Olelo. So excellent.
Okay. Yep. Right on. Thanks. Hey, Sean, I got to run in about 5 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to quickly highlight, I put a note in the chat, but Lifeline is the federal program for low-income access to telecommunications. It is funded more sustainably than EBB or ACP. So ACP runs out of money in about a year until it's refunded. I mean, we can guess it will continue, but my point is, the same population can benefit from both programs. So I just want to encourage folks who are enrolling people in ACP, if possible, to also enroll them in Lifeline, because they'll get an additional benefit, and that benefit may be more sustainable. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, so on the agenda, I did add a couple of items. The FCC has announced they're going to have a second round of ACP outreach grant opportunity. So there's a link in the agenda if you're interested in checking that out. And then the reason I've got to run is that there's thanks to the Hui, there's a resolution that's getting heard today at 10 o'clock. It's for the Digital Inclusion Week, and this is for both 2023 as well as 2024. So I submitted testimony in support of these resolutions, and it's going to get heard today. And then later on this afternoon, there's a resolution to have the Broadband Digital Equity Office, I guess, help to increase Wi-Fi in the parks. And so I see Riley smiling. This is going to be an effort of cooperation and convincing, because I don't have any money, and all the money is really, in the hands of UH and the counties. And of course, the parks are all either a county park or a state park. So my testimony basically says we will work with DLNR as well as the counties, all four of them. And I'm putting the request out that any work that you folks do on helping to increase Wi-Fi in the parks will get total credit. We'll get total credit towards this resolution. and I will have the honor of sharing all your great work in increasing Wi-Fi in the parks. So that's probably how it's going to work. I will just probably be emailing you, and I know City and County has already sent me a list of parks that they're working on, and Riley, I'm sure you got a list of parks as well as Pono and on Kauai. I'll probably work it through Nate Prescott. So anyway, that's kind of the game plan. And I don't really have a contact over at DLNR, the State Department of Land and Natural Resources. And I'm going to need to figure out what parks actually qualify for Wi-Fi in the park. I'm going to be on vacation for Thursday and Friday. I'm going to head out to the North Shore by Mokuleia. And I'm pretty sure Kaina Point, which is a state park, does not have any place to provide Wi-Fi at Kaina Point. So I don't know if that is necessarily a park that's going to qualify for this Wi-Fi increase. Anyway, so that's what's on tap. And then the last thing I wanted to say is that mahalo to everybody that supported the two kind of major bills that are now moving. They've already passed their first, I guess, committees, and I'm talking about SB 1317, which was heard last week by the House Committee, Higher Ed and Technology, and then the other bill that I'm closely following is HB 1408, which the Broadband Hui submitted for the creation of a digital equity grant program. And that also got heard by the Committee on Energy, Senate Committee on Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism. So both of them passed through those committees, and the two bills are now destined for the Finance Committee. So the SB 1317, its next stop will be the Finance Committee, and then HB 1408 will head over to WAM. And that's not been scheduled yet, probably be scheduled sometime, hopefully next week or so. So I'll keep everybody posted as that develops. But those are two very important bills. I've already expressed the importance to our leadership here in DBED, and so they know that these are priority bills for us. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you, mahalo, everybody, and Riley, and then you guys can carry on. I will be heading over to the Capitol, and then any questions for me and Amber, you can just direct them to Amber. And Amber, don't forget to save the chat so that I can see what other comments people might have about, what we need to do. So
sounds
mahalo,
good.
everybody.
Good luck, Bert.
Yep. Yeah.
Go get them. Be safe and awesome. Okay, moving on with the Elizabeth. You have an update?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Riley, and aloha, everyone. For those who may not know me, I'm Elizabeth Songbele with AT&T. And I just wanted to share a new ACP promo that Cricket Wireless has. And for those who don't know, Cricket is part of AT&T, and they're only prepaid. So at events, Cricket is able to provide ACP eligible individuals who sign up for a new plan with a free phone and free activation. So this is really great for folks who might not actually already have a phone or a plan. Cricket has already signed some of those folks up. So Cricket is currently working hard to get out there into the community. And I might be reaching out to a few folks here, especially with the conversation that just happened. But we just really wanted to make sure the entire Hui was aware, in case you think of any specific populations or events where this opportunity would be really helpful. To get folks both signed up and with a device. So my contact information, I think, is in the agenda, but I can drop it here in case anyone is interested in reaching out, and I'm happy to get you in touch with Cricket. So thanks again for the time, Riley.
So Christine Park with Hawaii Community Schools for Adults. Ka'ala, I think he's on Molokai, and he wasn't sure if he would have access, so I don't believe he's on. So why don't you take it over?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for the time. I'll just give a brief overview of the Waipahu Community School for Adults. So we're adult education, a program out of the Department of Education. The Waipahu Community School covers, it's kind of a funky breakup of demographic. We cover all of Hawaii Island, and then from Waimanalo all the way up through Sunset, wrapping around up through Wailua, through Wahiawa, coming down through Pearl City and Waipahu, and then all the way through the Makaha side. So we cover most of the rural parts of Oahu as well as Hawaii Island. And so you could imagine that our population has experienced quite a bit of challenges regarding access to internet, cell phone service, as well as just falling short of the line of digital equity. So we, during the pandemic, needed to pivot to provide online services to our students. Our programs, primarily, we offer the high school equivalency programs. You might be familiar with GED programs. So any individual who did not graduate from high school can come to our programs and have the opportunity to earn their high school equivalency. We also have programs for English language learners. We have programs to help individuals transition into the workforce or transition to college. And so you can think of us as the gap kind of education service for any individual who needs entry-level credentials, such as a high school diploma, or to transition to college or to transition to employment. So with that said, our population does experience quite a bit of challenges. And during the pandemic, we had to shift and pivot to online learning like much of our educational institutions. And one of the things we learned pretty early on is that in addition to having challenges with access to the internet, a lot of our students did not have the digital literacy skills to engage in online learning, or to just be in the new kind of Zoom world that we all were kind of forced into. And so Ka'ala had asked me to share a little bit about the programs that we're offering. And so we are offering digital literacy classes to help individuals improve their knowledge and understanding of using the computer. And that includes basic things like turning it on, using the mouse, using the keyboard, which you could imagine for a lot of it, particularly our kupuna, who may not have been digital natives, in the sense that computer access and access to technology was not necessarily part of things they needed to learn how to do. Our kupuna really struggled with the online learning, online aspect of it. And so we provide classes to help support that kind of learning, basic computer skills, word processing skills, so Microsoft Office, the G Suite or Google Workspace. We offer classes in that arena as well. And we also offer classes to help students learn how to use their iPhone or their Android device. because there's a new iPhone that comes out every couple of months and it's always different. And so even the most proficient iPhone or Android phone users could benefit from some assistance in learning how to access and use their technology. And so one of the classes we do offer is a digital literacy class. And we offer that at our Waipahu and our Windward campuses at Kalaheo. It's about 39 hours, 40 hours of instruction. And so you might be familiar with North Star. Ka'ala's been a huge champion of the North Star curriculum to help increase digital literacy. And so we utilize that curriculum as well as G Suite, Google Workspace curriculum to help give a variety of tools, kind of just depending on what the students need. So I'll give you an example. We have a case study or case story from our Waipahu Kalaheo campus. And it was an adult learner who had been out of school for some years, who didn't feel comfortable with technology. She came to our digital literacy class and gained the skills to learn how to use the computer, how to do word processing, how to check email. And with that confidence, she actually entered the nursing field. So she was able to transition to a new career, given her new digital literacy skills, feeling competent and confident in that new space that was unfamiliar for her. We also have a literacy grant that we partner with Kailua High School. So it helps parents learn the technology that their kids are using in schools so that the parents can help their kids with school. Okay. Any questions about any of those programs? Yeah, Dan, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so are all of your students aware of the ACP and signed up?
You know,
I
that's
think
a big
there's a
question.
huge opportunity there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that was
And
one of the conversations in my conversation with Ka'ala. He was sharing a lot about the different programs. And so I'm super thrilled to be here to learn about the different opportunities. So, you know, through our expanded partnerships, giving our students knowledge and awareness of different programs like ACP. And there's a couple of other programs that have come out to really increase accessibility will be huge. So any information and resources you can share, I'll put my email in the chat. I'm happy to share it with our students and with our partners. So outside of our typical students at our campuses, we also partner with quite a bit of other programs. So Youth Challenge, we partner with Hui Aina, which is a program in Waimanalo for the formerly unsheltered. We partner with Youth Build. And because our programs are kind of in these remote areas in the community, you could imagine that access to internet is a challenge for them. So we've been able to get some MiFis through the State of Hawaii Department of Education. And of course, you know, the more resources we have, the better we can provide service to the community. So we're set up to go into the community to provide digital equity classes for digital literacy, as well as academic classes. But in order to do all of that, of course, we need the equipment and we need access to those things. And we've been able to do things kind of in-house with the funding and support that we have. We're currently working on a digital literacy grant through Department of Labor and Jarrett. And so hopefully we'll be able to expand our services there. So in your pockets, in the different programs that you all work, if you're noticing that individuals in your communities could benefit from digital literacy skills and development, then feel free to send them over our way. Thanks, Riley, for putting our website in the chat.
yeah, well, you know, people can get it on their phone, so maybe the cricket take up the cricket people on their offer. So
yeah,
and also you can initiate a new service. It's surprisingly easy to sign up. It's getting easier and easier. And if you sit down with somebody in your computer lab and go to just do a sign up, and you get the code and you take it to any of these providers and say, I want your best offer. So I would encourage that. Also, in terms of, you know, the literacy, there's about 40, my estimate is 40,000 households that will need some computer training over the next couple of years. So huge opportunity, and good to get spooled up. Thank you.
thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Christine. Good stuff. We'll reach out to you for Kona and Hilo. You can join the high deck.
Yeah, we would like that.
So Shola, you can let's go to part 2 in the Hawaii Island story map that Issa and Shola had worked on.
Good morning, everybody. So last week, Issa shared part 1 of the story map that she created that pretty much illustrates the work that Hawaii County has been doing and the way that she identified potential BEAD projects specific to Hawaii Island. So if you guys weren't able to watch that, then if you look at the top of the agenda, there's the link to last week's video. You guys can take a look at that. But today we are going to be talking about all of the county projects that Hawaii Island has been doing. Let me just scroll to it. All right, so the county projects that we have been working on, the first one that you've been probably hearing for the past few months is HIDEC, which is the Hawaii Island Digital Equity Coalition that we were able to facilitate along with a bunch of organizations that we have on island. Right now, we have more than 25 organizations that are part of HIDEC. And if you take a look right here, this is our map of our hyper local organizations within our community. The mana'o behind the way that we put this map together was for us to see what type of what districts have programs like digital literacy programs, workforce development programs, and then putting it on a map for us to see the gaps that we have on our island. So we can see that Hilo and Kona and Kohala have lots of organizations that are helping out the community, but we are lacking organizations in Ka'u, Hamakua, and Puna as well. So it also gives us a way to prioritize programs within these different districts. But if you want to, you can take a look at this map and see the type of organizations that are part of our coalition, a little bit about HIDEC and why having a coalition on our island is very important. We also wanted to highlight Digital Inclusion Week that we were able to partner with the Hilo Library last year. It was a quick little public event that we were able to put up. And for us, it was a good way to just kind of connect with the community to see what the library has to offer, and also for us to just kind of see ways that we can support all of the work that they're doing. Next, we have a map of the Wi-Fi on Wheels program that the county was able to partner with HCOC and Hawaii Kids Can. What they did was they were able to outfit vans with Wi-Fi, and they were also able to provide iPads for students and for students to use. And what they did was they parked at different locations around the islands, and over here, you can see the usage of those resources and the demographics that they were able to reach during the time that they had the program up and running. Our next map is of the county fiber ring that we were able to complete last year around this time, 2020. This is really a great way for us to expand connectivity at all of our county sites. And we're hoping to build upon this fiber ring in order for us to bring connectivity to all of our parks and rec sites on the island. Next, we have an overlay of the different parks and rec sites with the fiber ring that we have. So if you look at this map, it's like the bigger the circle, the more people that have been using the park location. So it's a very interactive map, so you can click on the map and you can see the information to the location. So it shows the address of the Parks and Rec sites and also the types of programs that is offered at that Parks and Rec sites. So in 2022, it was like an estimate of like 3 million people that were using our Parks and Rec sites on island. So for us, it really helped us prioritize putting in internet services to the highly populated Parks and Recs gyms. All right, next is a project that we are working on that we want to continue doing to have as a resource for all of Hawaii Island residents. Right now we have locations of free public Wi-Fi at county facilities on this map, but we're hoping in the future to provide a more robust location of free public Wi-Fi's for everybody. If you click on these locations, it shows, again, the address it's located at, but we're also hoping to put the times that Wi-Fi is available because we know that not everyone can use the Wi-Fi at locations from like 9 to 5. And so being able to see locations that offer like 24-hour Wi-Fi would be really helpful for our community to use. And it's did a fabulous job by compiling all of the data. So if you are interested at looking at this data, you can just click on these links below. There are a few that you need to contact for her to give you this information, but by all means, if you want to take a look at it, it is located at the bottom of this webpage. But if you have any more questions, you can contact Issa and I or Riley, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
And, you know, with that story map, we're with the other counties, we're working together so that each of the counties will have their story map, their data sets, and their coalition. And so that really sets the framework in which the counties can actually support, you know, Garrett's team and, you know, have a robust 5-year plan with actual data supporting that 5-year plan, along with the actual locations or the people identifying that will actually implement the plan. So that's where the, you know, behind the scenes, the counties were working together to establish that baseline of data. Then your question on the capacity of the ring. We are upgrading our ring from 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabytes.
Okay, thanks.
Knowing that, you know, we'd be doing a lot of last mile work and firing up the gyms and parks. So we didn't wait for a resolution. We saw it as a resolution. So Constancio, do you have any updates from Honolulu County? Is he still on? I don't see him. Yeah, so he may have dropped off. Nate, any update from Kauai?
No big updates, just working to replicate kind of the story map that Hawaii County already has. And also I'm going to be looking into the Wi-Fi in parks and stuff like that, see how we can possibly help with that. But yeah, nothing big as of now.
Okay. Then I think Pono dropped off. Tony, you have anything from Honolulu City and County?
Sorry, Riley, I was on mute. No updates, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, but for the Hui, once we get done, getting the counties all on the same playing field with data and strategy and coalitions going, then we'll look to bring some of that the strategy work to the Hui, so that Hui members can actually present. We can discuss strategies, resource needs, your metrics, what your desired outcomes are, and how you're going to measure it, and we can set up goals. 5-year goal or whatever, and that will also. So you'd have the 4 counties, the state, with digital equity, with the infrastructure, and the Hui all contributing to what and how we can solve the digital divide. I don't see Pono on. He was on earlier. So
You have
Dan,
to drop off.
yeah.
Pono has
So,
to drop out, sorry.
but I know he's been working on with the council members and the mayor's office to get data mapping resources along with funding from the county council to establish a digital equity office on Maui, is what Pono's been working on. But Dan, you want to give a update along with building on what Bert had provided us?
Well, I think Bert covered all of the major bills and resolutions, and there's a link in the agenda there to the live document that I'll try to update every day. So hearing today, as you mentioned, on Wi-Fi in the parks. I think, and the big bills, for digital equity and for matching, we don't yet know the numbers, right? Their first amendment is to blank out the numbers. So the size of the request is an important question. So the bills are going through, but there's blank on the number. So I would be interested in the stakeholders, like presumably DBET and especially U8, say, what are you going to ask them for in matching? Very important policy implications if you get a big match. You don't the established carriers. You can build open networks. So the numbers we've heard are about 3 million for equity, in terms of numbers that were there originally, and for the infrastructure, 33 million, but could well be larger depending on what people are saying to the legislators. So they're marching through, but we do need some insights on when they plug in the numbers. Thank you.
Yeah. I've been in the ledge for like, I don't know, a long time. And they always do that. It's standard.
Right, but Garrett and Bert should stand up and say, this is how much I need, and here's why,
But
okay?
they won't put it in the bill. They will not until conference committee.
Right, but there's no reason to take a stand or not to take a stand, in my opinion. I mean, 3 million sounds like reasonable number for the digital equity transition to when the federal money drops. Okay, so, but in terms of you know, the infrastructure side, we've seen, you know, I would say we do need some people to stand up and take a position. So, I mean, UH has said in some of its documents that they want to bust the duopoly. Okay, how much money does that imply? So I explicitly issue that challenge, and because then we can go in and you know, individuals and collectively lobby for all reasonable requests. Thank you.
So that we completed the actual agenda. Did anyone else have anything that they wanted to share?
Riley, I can give a quick update on where we're at on some of our mapping stuff. I'm not sure we were able to show the map last time.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. So I think many of you know that we have another group that meets once every every Tuesday now, the UH group with Riley and Isa and Shola and all that, and Amber, Bert. Those meetings I think are going really well to kind of consolidate our efforts. Just wanted to share my screen and remind folks of where they can look for updates from our group. I will just share my screen here. So this is our website, our Broadband for Hawaii website. If you're interested in learning more about the latest updates on the 5-year action plan, this is a live document, so we keep this updated at all times, every time we add more information to it. So if you want to do a check-in there, that's a good place to look. This is our state broadband service map, which I will show you. This was created by our team working with the FCC data. We also have access to the Fabric data. So this is our initial kind of mapping exercise created by Chris Zane in our group. So this is just a picture of it. You can click here. And what we've been focusing on is identifying those unserved or underserved areas. So this includes all of the islands. I'll just zoom in here on Hawaii Islands, since that's what we've been talking about. Just want to show you how to navigate this map. So as you remember, we are not allowed to display individual addresses because of security concerns. So what Chris has done here, for each of these little red dots, that represents an underserved area with a 3,000-foot radius. So that essentially blurs out the local address that we've identified. On the right side here, these are the navigation tools that are included. One thing to remember is that the BEAD funding can be applied to all of these unserved areas, with the exception of those areas that have funding from some of the other federal programs, specifically the CAF funding. So you can turn this on and off, so you can see where that funding is going. So we won't be paying attention to those areas. Also the RDOF funding as well. That's another area you can turn on and off. If you want to look at this in a Google hybrid form, you can do that as well. So the other layers, and again, this is built, and this is very bare bones. This was built using Mapbox and QGIS. This is an open source tool. So our goal, and this is just our initial effort to create an interactive map for folks to start taking a look at and zooming in on those neighborhoods. So one of the areas that, well, we're so excited about all the story map work, that's starting to place all those other wraparound services on the map in locations that we can see that are where those populations are that are underserved or unserved. Going forward, so this is our initial map. As I said, we're just about to hire, hopefully, our data specialist, so we'll have a snazzier map. But we've been having discussions among the group that as we develop these different map products, the best place we feel the best place to serve this out to the community would be through DBET's GIS Geo Hawaii location. And this is the maps that have been developed by Arthur Buto and others. So just figuring out how to kind of join forces around getting all this information into one place. So our next steps now are to begin to, and at this point, I think we had our conversation on this week. I think we're getting pretty close to identifying those locations that we think are unserved just based on our efforts with the FCC data and the Fabric data and some of the provider information that we've received. We have not yet gone into the communities to, hold focus groups or meetings to make sure that we haven't missed folks, but that's been our effort to date. After this, the idea is to work closely with our colleagues at DBET and on Hawaii Island to continue to add all these different layers to a map that would be in a real ArcGIS format that will be easy for folks to navigate. Now, one of the things, I'm going to stop sharing. One of the things I think would be super useful for us to have these discussions with the Hui is as we start to identify these different areas, just getting more feedback from the community about things that we may have missed. And also, just looking at what's been done on Hawaii Island, extending that to all the others, that will provide us an opportunity to have, to start to prioritize the areas for initially the infrastructure build out. And as Bert has mentioned, and Garrett has mentioned many times, as you guys know, the BEAD funding goes to provide that fiber to the home, but we may also have additional funding to support some of the digital equity and literacy efforts. So just a quick update, just feel free to any questions. I think we have a question place you can, or else just ask me in any of these meetings for updates. But this is the place to look to see the progress that we've made in terms of our mapping exercises. And I think the next steps for us are to, again, consolidate a lot of this information. The story map I really like is such a nice way for folks to not only identify those specific services and nonprofits and activities that are going on, but to be able to read more about it. The map that we're developing with these tools and in collaboration with DBET will probably be more of one where you can just turn on and off the layers. So I think having both kinds of maps will be really helpful for the community. So if you want to learn more about a nonprofit, use the story map application as well. That's our update. Yeah.
So Gwen,
thanks, Riley.
How I understand it, or is that the map you presented is more based on infrastructure or lack of infrastructure.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's not, yeah, when you say unserved, it's not that they don't have the access in order to actually have digital equity work be performed.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. Let me clarify that. The map that I just showed is just based on internet connectivity, nothing to do with other wraparound services. That's why I think it's so important to combine both the story map information that you guys have collected and displayed so nicely with the kind of the more network engineering view.
And leaving out the CARF and RDOF and DHHL, that's based on that they are receiving or other federal funding So
Correct.
you wouldn't be able to spend BEAD money infrastructure on those sites because they already are being funded.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that.
It's not like we're ignoring the HHL.
No, absolutely not. It's, those are the rules coming to us from NTIA for how we'd be able to expend the BEAD funding. And that's just one of the kind of constraints is that from the federal government's point of view, they figure out they've invested in those areas through those other funding programs. And so we want to focus on the ones where BEAD can really have the biggest impact.
Right. Yeah, so for the Hui, we are having ongoing weekly conversations. It involves how we can, set the framework to make serious progress in digital work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got 2 minutes left.
Hey everybody, it's Cheryl Cross. I have a question. I won't be here next week, and I believe I missed a meeting in between. We did ask for a one sheet, and that was going to be brought up at the mapping meeting. Is there any progress on that? And what can we do to support you in getting that just for our ease of use? And when I mean there was also talk of a potential workforce development council. I have an email out to folks. I haven't heard back. I would like to request that we start with a good mission statement. So this is a call to all the Hui members, many of you who I just probably tagged on LinkedIn to support Bert's new award. But if you would like to join this growing subcommittee, please reach to me. I'll put my email in the chat. So first question, the map, the one sheet, and second question, any movement on that mission statement for the Workforce Development Committee subcommittee serving the Hui?
Yeah, so Cheryl, thank you for that. And I know that Bert sent that list of individuals that have been interested in workforce. I think you were copied on that email. That's on me. So you're going to be out next week. Do you have time to meet this week for a short conversations just to kind of ground me in some of the areas that you're interested in?
Let's set that up for after Tuesday of next week. I'll be out of the office.
Sounds great.
I'll reach to you. I have your email.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. Hey, Riley, I guess you got to sing a song or something to send us out for the day. We seem to have extra time. We don't have Bert leading us with all those great conversations. So
Well, this is Dan again. I do appreciate the UH map. I think you could actually disclose the exact coordinate of the center of each dot, and I've looked at almost all the dots on Oahu because of potential IEEE project. Some of you may have seen something that IEEE Communication Society is offering a offering a competition for a $12,000 grant. We could serve some small community. So if anybody, but unfortunately the deadline is April 12th, but if the logistics of getting people to and from a site to meet a key target. So some of these dots are quite interesting, like the back of Manoa Valley. And as I said, I was able to correlate on Molokai, an area where there's a couple dots, and I think I can actually identify the locations that are causing the red dot to exist. But I think it is helpful in that, and of course, not so many. There's lots of dots on the Big Island, not so many on Oahu and and in a way surprisingly few on Molokai. So just some comments. Thank you.
Yeah, so Dan, any of those things on that same page, there is a web form. If you have stuff that you'd like to add to that, we haven't gotten a lot of feedback, but that's kind of our mini challenge process. So there is a link to a web form that you can fill in and if you identified any of those dots, all information.
Well, but you can't tell me the address, but I can see them. What I do is go in and go to the FCC, the public part of the FCC map, and just say, okay, I want places that don't have cable or fiber, and you can see. I think you can see all the locations. Now maybe there's some that I can't see. I did put in a suggestion that you put a scale on there so we can, on the map. So
okay.
it is, anyway, but I think if you, I guess the question would be, do you think you have all the red dots that you're going to need?
Great question. I think that map, and again, we are, the additional work that we're doing is to try to figure out if any of those dots on there are not residential, because again, we're only serving residential with BEAD funds. So some of those dots may disappear if it turns out that they're actually businesses instead of residential locations. I think at this point, we're still working on it, but at this point, I think Chris has done most of the work that he can do with the available data that we've been able to get. And again, this is not based on going out into neighborhoods and asking questions. This is just based on the FCC data and the CostQuest fabric data that we have access to.
Yeah, and a lot of them make sense.
Well, but when part of our, the plan is to, once you get your people on board, is to get into the community, right?
Exactly, absolutely, exactly. That's
It's not like we're stopping there.
Nope. Nope. This is, as I said, this is an update. This is a work in progress.
Right.
Well, and if you can't show BEAD that you met with the community, you won't get the money.
Oh, we understand that, Dan. In fact, every Thursday, Laura reminds us of that for a big part of our meeting. Yeah, we understand that. That's part of our plan.
So actually, the thought is that with each county having a coalition, that we would go to the community together.
Exactly. Yeah, so this is a multi-pronged effort, and having that, I think that the county's meeting was really effective in getting things started in terms of getting folks on board and excited about helping out. And, we'll bring together all of our various tools and skills. And I think the Hui is a great place to show progress and get feedback.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we're over time.
Okay.
Thanks, you fill in the gap real well.
Good job. All right.
Okay, aloha.